Hello, I am Josie Lemons, and today I would like to present my commentary on everything I ever speculated about Jessica Moloney. We should start with the fact that, if Jessica likes it or not, she does qualify as a public figure. Or more accurately, a limited-purpose public figure. A limited-purpose public figure is someone who, while not a general public figure, has become prominently involved in a specific public controversy and is thus considered a public figure for that particular issue. For the purposes of this video, it should be noted what makes Jessica a limited-purpose public figure would be the following. Her alleged occupation in talent management, allegedly handling high-profile clients as her website suggests, with names such as Liam Payne and Machine Gun Kelly. Her very public previous relationship to Jamie Campbell Bower, which lasted around 3 years. Jessica Moloney also had a brief stint in the modeling world, posing for Cosmo UK and walking the runway at a Dolce & Gabbana fashion show. Any and all comments, theories, and speculation I have ever made about Jessica Moloney were 100% based on media meant for public consumption. Today I am going to address some of the statements I made, why I made them, and every source that they came from.
Young Jess, I wanted to, so I danced from when I was very small. So I did ballet and contemporary. And I never wanted to be a professional dancer, but I wanted to be a dance teacher.
I don't understand why someone who allegedly spent their whole life dancing from when they were very small wouldn't want to go into it as a profession and only ever teach it. I have never met anyone in the arts who didn't want to go into it professionally. Typically, what happens is that a person goes into it professionally, then later, around retirement age or when they burn out, they go into teaching. I'm not saying that it's not possible. I am saying it's very odd to me that her dreams from when she was a child was to be a dance teacher and not a dancer professionally. I believe many other people would find that to be odd as well.
I applied to be a PCSO when I was like 18, didn't get in.
Yeah.
And I think that's for the best. But yeah, so the police kind of always was part of something that I'd wanted to, or thought I wanted to do.
I find it interesting here that she says that she applied to be a PCSO but she didn't get in, which she also thinks is for the best. If you look it up, according to several sources, sociopaths are most likely to gravitate to certain careers, one of them being law enforcement. I am not saying that this definitively proves that Jess is a sociopath, though I believe that it's one of many things she does go on to say in this interview that shows something is a bit off with her. The second thing I find interesting is the list of reasons why a person may be denied entry into a PCSO training program. Things such as tattoos, behavioral issues, mental instability, and other factors can exclude someone from this program. Though one could theorize that it was only the tattoos that excluded her, I believe there's more than enough circumstantial evidence that would have indicated that wasn't the only reason she was excluded, but at the end of the day, this is just a theory on my part.
So I spent a lot of time, I spoke to like my dance teachers, and it was actually one particular dance teacher that was like, why don't you go and do fashion at university? And if you decide that isn't the right career for you, like dance will always be there. Like, you know, you dance your whole life, up to that point.
This is where things start to fall apart a bit and Jess is caught up in a lie. Because in an interview she did prior to this one, she said it was her textiles teacher that told her to go into fashion.
My high school textiles teacher suggested I went to study fashion. I looked into it and decided it was a long decision that I could make a far more steady career from doing that.
So who actually told her to go into fashion? Her dance teacher? Her textiles teacher? Did anyone actually say this to her? Did she come up with it on her own? Was there some ultimatum with her parents who told her to get a real job instead of dancing, so she came up with this story? Did she simply forget who told her to make such a jarring, life-altering decision? I find it hard to believe that if you were focused so hard on one specific career that you trained for it, your whole life, that you'd also forget who exactly told you that you should go into another career and why. I also find it odd that if it really was her dance teacher, why would she agree to this unless Jess was terrible at dancing? A dance teacher who is any good at what they do would tell a talented dancer to stay in dancing, not run off and get education for a career they literally never thought about doing in the first place. This whole story is confusing because there's two different versions of it that Jess told, which is already evidence of her not keeping her stories straight if it's not also directly evidence of her outright lying about why she went into fashion.
That was it. I was like, right, I'm going to fill out my UCAS. I'm going to put fashion universities down, but never design. It was always the business side.
I cannot, for the life of me, figure out who dances their whole life planning to be a dance teacher for some reason instead of a professional dancer who suddenly is passionately into fashion, but not the design aspect, but the business side. At the start of the interview, she talks about how she kind of did academia, but she was more into the arts, dance, and drama side of schooling. Now, suddenly, for no reason that she can explain herself, she wants to go into a profession that's not about the arts, not about design, but business. Something which is a total flip from the artsy side of what she had been studying and was her passion. That's a very peculiar leap to make considering that business school is extremely different from what she was doing and seemed to want to do before. Then again, she also wanted to be a PCSO, if she's even telling the truth about that. But it's still a confusing and odd decision to suddenly make, and a very, very specific one at that.
Stylist, props to you, because I was like, this is not for me. I interned with a really amazing stylist, and I'm be forever grateful for working with him, and I learned a lot. But that's something that I definitely wasn't cut for. So
I chose out this particular quote, namely because of what she says about how she met and got involved with Machine Gun Kelly later in the interview, of which she goes on to claim she found a random email and then offered to dress him if he was ever in London. But here she is saying that she didn't like styling or didn't want to be a stylist because she interned with one and said it wasn't for her. The implication of which is that she was misrepresenting what she allegedly said to Machine Gun Kelly's team if her story about how she got in contact with him is true in the first place.
So I met Machine Gun Kelly when I was at Vivienne Westwood. So it's like totally rogue how it all happened. My brother basically was like, you need to listen to this artist. And now we're going back like maybe 9 years. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's sick. And like, he looked great. And I was like, I've got to dress him. I found this random email that honestly, I couldn't even tell you who it was at the time. I found this email and I was just like, hey, like I work at Westwood. I really like, Machine Gun Kelly's music. Let me know if you're ever in London or if I can dress him for anything. And that was really it. He then came to London. I met him and his team, and it kind of like kickstarted that relationship, and we just kind of we became friends.
This is the later part of the story that I would like to address. As previously mentioned, Jess had claimed in her own words that styling wasn't for her. We do know as proof that she was not in styling or design when she was at Westwood. She was in marketing first and then became the PR spokeswoman. So, what this implies is that Jess emailed his team misrepresenting her position at Vivienne Westwood to get Machine Gun Kelly's attention. Possibly. Though I also would like to address her story of how she found a random email to send to someone she doesn't know and it worked is very dubious. You would think that she'd have a better story than this or more specifics. Or at least in my opinion she would. She then goes on to say that after that, they stayed friends. Except, there's no real evidence to back up this claim either. Though on her Instagram account you can see her in some photographs with him, they are more opportunistic than personal photographs, such as grabbing a selfie with him at a party where there are other people. Or there's alcohol present, so there's a potential for him to have been intoxicated. If you do any sort of research of third-party evidence of them being friends, her name will not come up as anyone he's ever mentioned publicly as a friend, and she doesn't seem to have any more candid photos with him. She is in work photos with him, kind of in the background where he's not interacting with her. A lot of these photos she is not credited. On top of that, though he does follow her on Instagram, from what I have observed he has never liked or commented on any of the photos where she has tagged him. It would appear to me that this relationship, this friendship that she is bragging about is either exaggerated in her head or intentionally misleading. This can be corroborated by the previous statement by Jess saying that she was not a stylist and didn't like it, yet emailed some random person claiming to be a stylist so she could dress Machine Gun Kelly. It leads me to believe that this isn't at all how the story happened, or it's very exaggerated, or she's leaving out a very large chunk of information when it comes to her role in working with Machine Gun Kelly, and that her so-called relationship with him isn't nearly as close as she portrays it.
And Kel's kind of came with me for, a few other companies that I went to. And then when I started on my own, Kel's was there. Him and his team have always been like incredibly supportive.
It should be noted that despite Jess's claims here that MGK followed her from Westwood to other agencies and then followed her to her own company when she opened that, absolutely no third-party sources verify that this is the truth. MGK is listed as one of the many clients Jess claims to have represented in the past, but she also hasn't shown proof of that. I cannot find proof of her name being credited alongside his as talent management or representation outside of her website and one interview on Refinery 29, where, once again, it's just saying that this happened and not something that looks like it was vetted or not. It's just an interview, with lack of any evidence outside of Jess saying that she represented him and he followed her from business to business. I think that it can be at least implied that she may not be telling the truth about this.
People can tell, and I'm very black and white, so I also can't lie.
Jess outright saying that she can't lie is contradictory here, or misleading, because already in this interview she's gotten information incorrect. Is it possible to say she's not lying but misremembering things? Yes. However, I still contest that certain events that led to pivotal moments in your life, you'd remember beyond vague details. You'd remember what teacher told you to get into fashion marketing and leave your dream career of being a dancer. You wouldn't misremember if it was your textiles teacher or your dance instructor, of which she attributes both in different interviews. From an outsider looking in and my own personal observation, this seems like she cannot keep her story straight, which leaves the implication that she's lying.
I kind of was just like, I think I'm better being my own boss. I'm such a perfectionist. And if I always felt like when I worked with teams, if someone didn't match that, it would piss me off.
The implication here, in my opinion, is that Jess doesn't feel like she can work with other people if they aren't as perfect as her or whatever version she sees of herself as a perfectionist, which directly contributed to some of my commentary in the past that I feel as if Jess didn't stay at companies very long because she was difficult to work with. And yet here she's saying that if people weren't perfectionists like her, it would piss her off, which is why she thought she would be better as her own boss. This leads me to believe she did not work very well with teams at all, or potentially didn't carry her own weight or do what she was supposed to because she believed she should be the one in charge.